I like how I've been out here for approximately 10 minutes and my hair is like, oh, you thought you were going to do a video outside in August? You thought wrong. Anyway, so I wanted to talk to you about grading a little bit. So one thing that tends to throw off my students about my classes, and this isn't just online, this is across the board, is that I don't post my grades online. And I'm allowed to do that. That also tends to blow people's minds, that as a faculty member, we don't have to do that. That's at our discretion. And ultimately, the most secure form of keeping your grades is tangibly, on paper, on my person. So I have always done that. I have an actual blue spiral-bound grade book. So you don't have grades in Momentum at all, and your quizzes also aren't on Momentum. Your quizzes are going to be on a website that I use called Testmos. It is super simple. You don't have to even make an account. All you do is click a link that I post. It takes you to a multiple choice quiz. You type in your name and you take it, and that's it. So it's the simplest thing in the world. But all that is to say, our Momentum shell will not actually have a grade component on it because I keep your grades. I tally them myself. And inevitably there's people who understandably panic because they're like, none of my grades are in Momentum. Yeah, that's true. They're not. But that doesn't mean they're not being tallied. So you can ask about your grade at any time. It is not a secret. I do not keep that information secret. That is, in fact, wrong. So you can email me. You can stop by during my office hours. Or there's also times, regularly during the semester that I update everybody. So every time we have an exam or a major project, you will get back your total grade from me. But again, just because it's on my person does not mean I don't share it. I'll share it with you whenever you want it. The way that the grades are tallied is actually pretty simple as well because I'm not a math person. So everything you do in modern British literature has a point value that adds up to 100. And that's it. There's no weighted percentages. So your exams are 60% of your grade in this class. What that means is there are 3 tests, and each of them count for 20 points. So that's how we get 60% or 60 points. So the majority, by a little bit, of the point value in this course is the exams, is the tests. Now, the good news is the tests are actually open book and open note. So anything that I put on Momentum for you, or any notes that you've taken during my videos, or the videos themselves, you can use during the exam. But that is 60%. 20% of your grade is quizzes and discussions. And every time you take a quiz, or every time you answer a discussion post, which we'll get to in a minute because that's actually your only homework for next Wednesday. Every time you do one of those things, you get 2 points. The good news about the quizzes is that you can actually earn extra credit. I always have floating bonuses built into the quizzes, so if you do really well, you can actually potentially earn like a 3 out of 2 on those. And actually, that extra credit can add up. The discussion posts are, again, like I said, they're casual, they're completion-based. It's just, did you do them or not? And then there's going to be 20% based on projects, quote-unquote, and neither of them are heavy research-based projects. One of them is more opinion-based, and one of them is creative. So each of those are 10 points, and that's how we add up to 100. So as far as the assignments, the way that the class is going to work is, as you already know, this is an asynchronous online. What it isn't is like one of those high school online modules where, some person in Nashville set it up and they just throw you all the information and you can take the quizzes whenever. And if you hypothetically wanted to wait until 2 weeks before the end of the term, you could mainline it all. That's not what this is. We do still have a weekly deadline, and we will be going through it 1 week at a time. I just don't have, pedagogically, I don't have a good opinion of those, like, all-at-once module courses. Not especially for, material like this. So the modules on Momentum will open up 1 week at a time. So if you're only seeing, like, a getting started module and a week 1 module, that's good. That's what you're supposed to be seeing. The other modules only come open 1 Wednesday at a time. So our weekly deadline for this class will always be Wednesdays for the entire semester. Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, United States of America. So, what that means is you can complete the work that you have at any time that works for you from a Wednesday to a Wednesday. That means the tests and quizzes as well. So, for those of you who had me for Online Comp 1 before, you don't have to just do the quizzes or the tests on one day. You actually now have the entire week to open up that test or open up that quiz. Just be wary, because once you open an assessment, it by itself does have a time limit. And I have already, for those of you with accommodations, I have already built the excess time into that. Once we get to that point in the semester, if you're concerned it's not going to be enough time, just give me a shout. And that goes for everybody. I'm flexible about the time limits. There just does need to be one. I can't have it, open on your desktop like all day. So, that's how you're going to do the work here. It's at your own pace. You can do it at 2 a.m. You can do it the day before. You can do it the day I assign it. Truly, it's whatever works best for you and your work schedule. There are no Zoom meetings. There's just these videos that I'll make for you every week, checking in. Sometimes I'll take you on hikes with me. Sometimes I'll take you in the car with me. I feel like it's more fun that way. And, you get bored of looking at the same background over and over again. Or at least I would. And the only time that you're not going to have a deadline during the term is fall break. I think, I'm going to say that's Wednesday the 15th. You don't have any homework then. So you'll have 2 weeks in between at that point. So that's what it's looking like. We will go into exam week. We'll just kind of keep the same rhythm. The last test over the Victorians and over the contemporary British literature part, and that'll be brought forward by you, the class, will be during that week of exams. And then basically by whatever that last Wednesday of the term is during exam week, this class should be finished. So some other policies that I wanted to just quickly bring to your attention. Boop. And of course the computer decided to go to sleep, as it does. Thank you, Apple. Okay, so plagiarism and academic integrity. So we are having increasing conversations in academia about what that looks like because of AI. And I remember 2 years ago, I had a student named Brandon who called me into my office, and he said, I need to show you something because none of you English teachers are ready for what's coming. And he was right, we weren't. And he had been, kind of familiarizing himself with it, and he was like, this is pretty scary, you're not going to be able to tell. Of course, as the technology itself improved, the detection also improved. So we are a little more equipped than you would anticipate to detect AI, both because you kind of develop a bit of a discernment for knowing, this doesn't really read like student writing, and, there are certain tells where it's like, if it's dancing around the content and not giving really authentic answers to it. But I do have, just to be honest with you, I have a detector that works sublimely well. I think a lot of the problem stems from, and I'm old, so I can say this, I'm 40. There's a lot of people who don't know how to use AI detectors. Like, it'll flag 17%, and then that boomer will be like, oh my god, they're using AI. And which, that's a faulty result. That basically means no. So it kind of lies in learning how to read it. But all that is to say, there's so many temptations. Years ago, students would pay other students to write their essays for them or take their tests for them, and then sometimes I would find out after the fact, and I would be very sad. Now it's this. I'm going to tell you something, and I think I'm going to tell all my students this year. There's also been a lot of chat online about professors using AI to do their grading for them, and there's a bit of divide on whether this is ethical or not. I can't really speak for math professors, science professors. I am not one. I am promising you here, under this rainy sky, and letting this forest beyond the fence serve as a witness to my promise, I will never do that. I don't think that is fair to you. I think that you have paid money and taken time out of your life to come and have an education when, if you wanted to be taught by a computer or graded by a computer, you could have sat at home and done that. And I just personally, I don't like that. And it's like, why, If I were you, I would be like, why did I go to school then? I could have done this from home. And I'm a lazy person, so I would be asking that question. So that's my solemn promise that I will not ever be using AI to grade your stuff. In fact, I actually prefer conferences whenever I can do them, or voice messages, and that's kind of one reason why, is to prove that I actually looked at this and cared about what you had to say. So, that being said, my old boss at the Web School of Knoxville, Ellie Schellist, used to tell us, cheating is like running into an 8-lane highway to pick up a nickel. The risk vastly outweighs the reward. It just isn't worth it. Nothing in this class is hard enough to warrant you asking a bot to do it for you. It's gonna be easier for you to just do it yourself. I'm being honest with you. So it's just not worth it. Any type of cheating, and I'm supposed to tell you this, any type of cheating results in either a 0 for the assignment or a failure for the entire course. So just keep that in mind. I'm always happy to talk to you about it, but I have been really lucky, and I've actually not had this happen in a literature class ever. I've never had it happen in a literature class, to my knowledge, obviously, of course, but I've never had anybody use it. Sorry! It's my husband. I was being metaphorical, and he's on the other side of the wall in his man cave. That was a mistake. So, that's touched on academic integrity. I don't also want you to think that I'm, like, looking for this. Like, I don't get any particular pleasure out of hunting it. When I was Waldorf certified and I was teaching younger students, they always told us that students will rise to the bar that you set for them, and that if you come at them with a bunch of accusations and negativity, like, I'm going to be watching y'all suckers, then people are like, okay, she thinks we're terrible people, so I guess why would I even try to rise above that? So I don't want to come off that way to you. I don't assume you're going to be doing this. I don't think that you are. And all the ones of you that I've already taught before, I've had nothing but fantastic experiences with. So I'm expecting a great semester. They just make me say that stuff. So it's true, though. It's all true. So there are going to be readings in the class, and a lot of them, the good news is, the great thing about modern Brit-Lit, if you're a busy, tired person, well, guess what? A lot of the readings are poems, and poems are very short. So the only time of the semester that's going to be kind of a heavy reading load is when we're doing Frankenstein. But you, by the way, are totally welcome to get help with Frankenstein. You can, now here's the thing, you need to actually read it. You can't just look at SparkNotes. But I don't care what you use to help you understand it afterward. Just don't quote SparkNotes on the test, because that's not really what I'm testing you for. But you're welcome to look at YouTube videos, you're welcome to look at SparkNotes, you're welcome to look at, like, TikToks. There's a lot of cool literary creators on there. Whatever you think will help you understand it. I just wouldn't say do that instead of the reading, because then you will probably not make good grades on the quizzes. But really, that's it. Frankenstein's the only kind of thick reading. Otherwise, it's like short stories, poems, stuff that shouldn't be too bad for you to get done in a week. Now, that doesn't mean wait until 8 p.m. on a Wednesday night to get it all done. But I will say, if you've had my early Brit-Lit class, I would say that the reading load itself is probably not as bad in this. That's just my 2 cents. Well, definitely actually less than Comp 2. If you read a novel in Comp 2. Comp 2 is probably maybe the heaviest reading load course. So there's some policies for Professor Bolden specifically. I do want to talk about late work. So I will take late exams or late projects, because those are worth 10 or 20 points. But I will deduct half of the potential credit. So it's still worth it for you to do it. You know, for instance, you would only be able to get 5 points instead of 10, or 10 points instead of 20, but 10 points is worth a letter grade. So it's still worth it to do the thing. You just wouldn't get any higher than 10 out of 20, because it's basically a 50% lateness deduction. The good news about that is it doesn't depreciate over time. A lot of late policies are like, well, if you turn it in this day, it's this much off, or this day, it's this much off, etc., etc. I don't do that. I don't have time for that. The moment it's late, it's half off, but I'll still take it for, I'll still take a 10-point project for 5 points and still put that in the grade book any time up until the end of the semester. So if you're scrambling at the end and you want to go back and do a project that you missed for half credit, you absolutely can. The only thing, and this is in bold, that I will not let you make up is missed quizzes. Because the quiz point value is so small It is so minuscule, and I just frankly don't have the time. If you know me, you know how many students I have. I don't have the time to go backward in the schedule and be like throwing out fishing nets for late quizzes and then checking them in for half credit. For 1 point, it's not worth my time, and it's not worth your time. I would rather you do an extra credit project at that point. And I do offer several pretty easy extra credit projects. So if you miss a bunch of quizzes, it's better to go that route, because I will not let quizzes be made up. The tests and the projects, we can talk, but again, it would be for a 50% deduction. So there's another couple of rules there about how I prefer to communicate, how I will never, ever, ever intentionally offend you or be snarky to you. That is never, ever the type of teacher I want to be. And on number 3 is, I want to be as approachable as possible with my teaching style. And I mean, plenty of people just come by and see me in my office hours. Oh, P.S. I do need to warn you about that. My office is a disaster zone right now because I have, in my infinite wisdom, decided to redecorate the whole thing. So I'm taking down everything from the walls. I'm going to make it like an Appalachian cottagecore type of vibe with like mason jar lights and like lemonade. And I want it to feel more comforting. It's like a little sterile. It's been that way for the last 7 years. So total redecoration this semester, and it will be a mess when you come in there. But there's still seats for you. You're welcome to be there. I would love to have you there. So I aim to be as approachable as possible, but, and this is a very controversial policy as time goes by, for my stupid little mental health, I do clock out on the weekends. And that's one reason why our curricular day is Wednesday, because it wouldn't be fair to have things due on Monday and me not, be assiduously checking my RadarNet on a Sunday. So just like a normal job, just like a normal 9 to 5 would be, I'm not saying I never check my email. I just probably won't be on Saturdays and Sundays. And my bosses are totally okay with that. Like, Roan State is fine with that, with us setting those policies. I just know that some online instructors don't believe that, and they're like, I will check my phone all the time. Like Sylvia Pastor, if you've had her, she, to me, is the example of, like, this perfect angel, saint, martyr teacher. I mean, she really is available at all times of the day, in every month, in every season, and every year, ad eternum. I wish that I was like her, but a couple days of the week I have to actually, it's really just electronics. I kind of just have to back off the electronics and go, as your generation would say, go touch grass. So that's when I'll be touching grass. So again, I'm not ignoring you on Saturdays and Sundays. I just clock out on those days. If you have any questions about that, let me know. And there's a lot of other policies about, students with disabilities, syllabus changes. Some of these things are kind of more apropos for in-person classes. I do want to let you know, and I know this is going to disappoint a couple of you in particular. I'm already thinking of you, and I can imagine like the little hiss that you're going to suck through your teeth when I say this. I can't offer this course for honors credit. So none of my online courses can be honors. The conditions necessary for an honors project, for English specifically, just cannot really be duplicated in an online environment. So there are no honors projects here. There are no opportunities for honors credit. I would use this semester to focus on your other classes if you're still pursuing that. If you take me in the spring for early Brit Lit, I'll work with you, because that's an in-person class, but not for this one. So that is the syllabus, and I just want to talk to you about your schedule. There's also a week-by-week schedule. So I told you that the modules wouldn't open up. I just realized that this video is 19 minutes long. Should I pause it? Let's pause it. Okay, I'm going to stop here. So much for the 8-minute cap. And I'm just going to talk to you briefly about the schedule in the next video.